Have you ever wondered why you were chosen for this particular battle? Not chosen in a random way, like life just decided to throw chaos at you for no reason, but chosen in a deeper, more intentional sense. The kind of choice that shakes your world and forces you to see what you've been avoiding. Relationships with narcissists don't just happen. They're not random, unlucky encounters. If you found yourself in one, or still tangled in its aftermath, it's not because you were weak or naive. You didn't end up there because you weren't good enough. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You were placed there for a reason, one that has everything to do with your growth, your awakening, and the rediscovery of your true self. You might be asking, why me? Why did I have to go through all that pain, the lies, the manipulation, the confusion? Those are honest questions. And the truth behind them is much deeper than most people are willing to look. Because what if all of it, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every moment you doubted your own sanity, had a purpose? What if the chaos was never meant to break you, but to rebuild you? What if it was life's way of showing you who you really are beneath all the fear and doubt that you've carried for so long? It starts subtly, almost invisibly. There's always a moment, small, almost forgettable, when you begin to lose sight of yourself. Maybe you put someone else's needs before your own one too many times. Maybe you stayed quiet just to keep the peace. Maybe you ignored that quiet voice inside that whispered something wasn't right because it felt too inconvenient to face. At first, these seem like small sacrifices, things you do out of love or kindness. But over time, they start to pile up. Each little compromise chips away at your confidence, your boundaries, your sense of who you are. Without realizing it, you start to shrink. You start to believe that being nice means staying silent, that being loving means tolerating everything, that being strong means carrying what's not yours to carry. And then, just when you're most disconnected from your own truth, they walk in. Narcissists don't pick people randomly. They're drawn to light, to people who are empathetic, generous, and open. People like you. Not because you're weak, but because you have something powerful inside you that they don't. They see your potential long before you do. They sense your capacity for love, your willingness to give, and they're attracted to it, not to share in it, but to feed off it. But this isn't about blame. The qualities that made you a target are the same ones that make you extraordinary. Your openness, your empathy, your ability to see the good in people, these are gifts. The only problem was, you hadn't yet learned how to protect them. You hadn't yet learned that compassion without boundaries becomes self-destruction. That's where the narcissist comes in. Their role in your story isn't to love you. It's to awaken you. Think of them like a storm. On the surface, storms look destructive, they tear things apart, uproot what's standing, and leave behind wreckage. But storms also clear away what's dead, wash the air clean, and make room for new life to grow. The narcissist did the same. They disrupted your peace so that you could finally see what was broken beneath it. They exposed the parts of you that still needed healing, the fear of being alone, the need to be needed, the habit of staying small so others feel comfortable. They brought all of it to the surface. At first, it feels like punishment. You ask yourself what you did wrong, why you weren't enough, why love had to hurt so much. But slowly, you begin to see that this didn't happen to you. It happened for you. Every painful moment was pushing you towards something deeper, self-awareness, self-respect, self-love. Sometimes we don't change until we're forced to. Sometimes we don't see our worth until someone tries to take it from us. The narcissist wasn't your ending. They were your mirror. They showed you what you had forgotten, your voice, your boundaries, your strength. They showed you the cracks in your foundation, not to break you, but so you could finally rebuild yourself on truth instead of fear. And yes, it hurts. Awakening always does. But the pain was never random. It was direction, not punishment. It was life's way of guiding you back home to yourself. So when you look back, don't see it as wasted time or a broken chapter. See it as the turning point, the moment your real story began. Because once you understand that everything that fell apart was actually falling into place, you stop asking why me, and start realizing that's why. But what if I told you that pain isn't personal? What if I told you that every single moment of heartbreak, betrayal, and confusion was less of a curse and more of a redirection? Because here's what we miss in the middle of the wreckage. When something or someone breaks you down to your knees, it's often because you've been standing in the wrong place for too long. The job you hate, the relationship that drains you, the patterns that wear you out, they become comfortable prisons. You settle. You make excuses. You say, it's not that bad. And the universe, life, God, whatever you believe in, looks at you and says, okay, I tried whispers. I tried science. Now I've got to flip the whole damn table. That's what the pain was. It wasn't punishment. It was a pivot. Especially when it comes to narcissistic relationships. You weren't placed in that dynamic because you were weak. You weren't targeted because you're broken. You were there because there was something inside of you that had to be revealed. Something you were never going to find while living safe and small. The narcissist's presence in your life forced your shadow into the light. All the people-pleasing, the fear of being alone, the habit of overgiving, the silence you kept to avoid conflict, it all came to the surface. Why? Because it needed to be seen before it could be healed. Rebuilding yourself from power, not trauma. Once you've hit rock bottom, once you've faced the pain head-on and allowed yourself to sit in its discomfort, you begin the process of rebuilding. But here's the catch. You don't rebuild from trauma. You rebuild from power, from intention, from clarity. Healing isn't about going back to who you were before the chaos. It's about becoming someone entirely new. Someone who refuses to tolerate dysfunction. Someone who sets boundaries not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Someone who speaks up not to prove a point, but to honor their truth. Someone who chooses themselves not as a last resort, but as a non-negotiable. This is where the magic happens. When you go from asking, why don't they love me, to declaring, why did I ever think I had to earn love? You change the game. You stop attracting people who feed off your insecurities and start drawing in the ones who meet you at your healed level. You stop mistaking red flags for intensity and start recognizing that peace is not boring, it's powerful, breaking the cycle for generations to come. Here's the final truth that will change your reality forever. You weren't born to be a victim. You were born to be a breaker, a chain breaker, a cycle disruptor, the one who stops generational trauma from continuing. The one who says, not with me. Not anymore. And yes, it's unfair that this job landed on your shoulders. It's unfair that you had to experience betrayal, manipulation, gaslighting, and abandonment to realize your worth. But the truth is, you were chosen for this because you can handle it. You were placed in this dynamic not to lose yourself, but to find yourself, not to suffer endlessly, but to become someone who refuses to settle for survival when they were made for more. When you reach that point when you stop waiting for apologies, stop hoping they'll change and start reclaiming every part of yourself you once gave away out of fear. You step into your power. And that power is contagious. It ripples outward, affecting everyone around you. Your children, your friends, your community, they all benefit from the work you've done to heal yourself. Call to action. Your next step toward freedom. If anything I've shared resonates with you, if you recognize parts of your story in what I've described, then I want you to do something right now. Pause for a second, take a deep breath, and ask yourself this question. What am I tolerating in my life that no longer serves me? Write it down. Say it out loud. Acknowledge it. Because awareness is the first step toward change. Healing doesn't happen passively. It requires action. It demands courage. And I believe with every fiber of my being that you have both. If you're ready to dive deeper, leave a comment below sharing one thing you're committed to changing starting today. Whether it's setting a boundary, reclaiming your voice, or simply saying no to dysfunction, let's create a community of support right here. Share your thoughts, your struggles, your victories. Together we rise. And remember this, you are not alone. Thousands of people just like you are waking up to their truth, breaking free from toxic patterns, and stepping into their power. Will you join them? The choice is yours. Make it count.